guys, it's your boy Jeameave back again with Views from the Heart, and today we got a 2016 Lexus IS 200T F Sport. And for those who may not know, the T actually stands for turbocharged. It's pushed on a inline-4 2-liter with 241 horsepower and 258 pound-feet of torque, which is both direct and port fuel injected. It has a curb weight of 3,717 pounds, and it's made into a 8-speed Steptronic automatic with just 22 miles per gallon city and 33 highway. So with that in mind, this is a Lexus. This is a luxury oriented sedan. The interior is immaculate. I'll show you guys very shortly. There's not many things to complain about this vehicle other than the fact that it's packing a 4-banger. Now with that being said, I personally cannot stand 4-cylinder engines. Will this be the first one to change my mind on them? I don't know, we'll have to wait and see. But starting price brand new, this vehicle starts at about $42,000, and with options it reaches the neighborhood of $46,000. With that in mind, is it worth it? I don't know. I think that begs the question. The interior to me definitely matches the price point, but I don't know if it's packing enough horsepower, and I don't know if this 4-cylinder is adequate enough to haul this 3,700 pound vehicle. It may or may not be. I personally prefer the previous generation V6, which was only port injected, but the Lexus IS 350 is both port and fuel injected. And for those of my tech savvy people, that's important because there's less carbon buildup within the intake manifold and just overall cleaner and better for the engine. So with that being said, let me go ahead and take you on the inside and see what this bad boy is popping about. So let's go ahead and get it. So let's see what's bracking inside this little bad boy. Woo! This interior is so clean. So clean. This is one of the nicest interiors I've ever been blessed to be in, to be honest. And this is coming from a person that owns an equivalent vehicle brand new, which starts around the same price range. It's just, my car just a lot faster. But with that said, this interior is extremely clean. It feels very progressive, very futuristic. Everything is soft touched. The use of materials is top notch. There's not many things to complain about in here. I honestly don't really know what to complain about other than the fact that it doesn't have a panoramic sunroof. I mean, everywhere you look there's some sort of leather, soft touch materials, brushed aluminum. It's extremely clean and pleasant to drive, and it's something that the seats are very supportive. It has like a bucket seat feel. It is bucket seats. Actually, this is an F Sport, so the styling is better in my opinion. And a lot of people think exterior wise that this generation of Lexus is extremely ugly, and I don't know, for me personally, I wouldn't necessarily say ugly. It's definitely more of an acquired taste, but personally I love the exterior styling. I think it's unique. It's, when you see it on the road, you know exactly what it is. You know it's different from basically everything else on the road. It doesn't follow a cookie cutter build. It's not conservative. It's very out there. It's in your face, and I think they managed to pull it off. Again, it's not for everyone, but I think when someone does come across it that does enjoy it, they love it. And I think regardless of what people may think about the exterior, this interior makes up for it in tenfold. I don't know if there is a comparable vehicle for this price that offers this interior at this price point and pull it off so well. Even BMW doesn't do this for this price point of sub $50,000, and Mercedes doesn't do it. Audi doesn't really do it. Most of the options, when you want to get the German R's option up, you're going to be spending, you know, a good $3,000 to $5,000 more on average. From my research, is it worth it? I don't know, because it's basically all the same engines. It's all 4 cylinders in that price range for the interior optioned up options. But one thing that this car has that this German Rolls does not have is this incredible gauge cluster up here. LFA inspired. It's electronic. You turn it from, it's an eco, you push down on the button for normal, and then you turn to the right. Now it's in sport mode. That is incredibly cool and awesome to see. It's the little touches that you see as a consumer that really makes the car a little bit more special to you, you know? It doesn't really mean much, it doesn't really signify anything, but just seeing that cool is cool, you know? It gives you a certain mindset and mind frame of like, yeah, we're about to do something, carve up some roads, things of that nature, and that's extremely pleasing to the eye and see. this gauge cluster is honestly amazing. I wish something like this would be in my current BMW. But no other manufacturer, to my knowledge, has been able to replicate this sort of technology and utilize it in such a clean, aesthetically pleasing way. It's so nice to look at, so nice to use. It displays all the information that you could possibly need at a glance. There's honestly nothing to complain about in this vehicle. The only thing is, obviously I haven't done a driving portion yet, but it weighs 3,717 pounds. I'd be really surprised if this vehicle, especially being an F-Sport, doesn't handle well. I'm gonna probably say right off the bat that this probably is gonna offer a more sporty drive. I mean, I would expect it to offer a sportier drive considering the fact that it is an F-Sport. But with that being said, you know, I think people that purchase an F-Sport should, or is more in tune or done a little bit more research than the average customer that goes and pick up an IS. Now, I have driven a Lexus GS before, and obviously that would be the bigger brother to this car. So it would be interesting to see how that exactly would translate in terms of the suppleness in the ride. That caters to a more obviously luxury-oriented customer, more soft, supple ride. So I wonder how this will, if it'll change dramatically going from, you know, normal, you know, depending on suspension settings, going to sport, it's gonna be more rigid and it's gonna be fun to drive. You're not gonna drive a Lexus GS that's not an F-Sport, or the one that I drove specifically in the canyon, so you're gonna kill yourself. But something like this, I'm hoping it's fun to drive. I hope it's really cool to drive. Again, my biggest knock and pet peeve of this vehicle is the fact that it's a 4-cylinder. I cannot stand 4-cylinders, and I have yet to personally come across a 4-cylinder that delivers smooth, enjoyable power that makes you feel commanding on the road. That doesn't sound like as if it's inebriated or struggling, or it just doesn't sound like it's moaning or like, are we going fast again? So it doesn't. That's one of the main gripes about 4-cylinders, is I personally think I could ever own a 4-cylinder. And can someone please link me an amazing sounding 4-cylinder? Because I've never heard one before. And as a purist and as someone who loves to drive, sound aesthetics is one of the major things to me, in my opinion, that matters just as much as how it drives, as much as how it sounds. Sound while driving connects you more to the vehicle and delivers a certain aspect while driving that cannot be replicated by just any engine or any vehicle. And that's something special that a lot of car makers these days, especially with going forced inductions, are not spending too much time. Turbochargers and intake manifolds are robbing too much of the sinuous V8s that we're used to, especially like the AMGs or the 6.3 liter V8, things of that nature. It's all going away in the namesake of efficiency and gas mileage. Now, for better or for worse, you can take it how you will, but at least from a purist driving perspective, it's not the best thing. And honestly, it's quite sad how, you know, car manufacturers around the world are being forced to do that due to people and our negligence as human beings and what we're doing to the planet. But that's a whole nother discussion, and obviously we're not discussing that, environmental factors and things of that nature. We're discussing the Lexus IS200T F Sport, and this interior, again, I'm going to reiterate, is pristine. There are very few vehicles, in my opinion, that can match or even let alone exceed this interior for this price point. Again, the use of materials is top notch. There's leather pretty much everywhere, and the soft touch plastic that does surround it is textured in a way that is very pleasing aesthetically to the eye. It doesn't seem crackled or too old. Again, this is pretty much a brand new vehicle. It only has 37,000 miles on the dot, and on average used, these cars are going anywhere between $21,000 to about $26,000 depending on the mileage. And that's honestly, I'm not gonna say it's an incredible steal yet, because again, I still haven't driven the vehicle. But with that being said, this vehicle right here is something that is out of this world when it comes to luxury, and Lexus definitely hit the mark, in my opinion, when it comes to this. So with that being said, let's go ahead and take you on a driving course and see what it's all about, because I'm excited for this vehicle, and I'm hoping that this vehicle in and of itself provides everything that I'm looking for. So let's go ahead and get it. Let's jump in and see what it's like to drive this bad boy. Let's go. like driving a 2016 Lexus IS 200T? Well, right off the bat, it does feel like an extremely light vehicle, to be honest. And so far, the steering is a little vague, if I'm being honest. But again, it is in eco mode right now. I'm feeling a little pep from the engine, honestly, even in eco mode, and I'm not even pressing on the pedal that far. It probably has a very limited travel for acceleration when in this mode. That's very interesting. I'm not really a big fan of that. I prefer more of a linear throttle. But let me put it into normal and see what it feels like. So let's see here. It's in normal mode now. Sorry, Ted, move this out of the way. Much better visibility. So it feels like a very nimble car. How does it ride so far? It's a normal. It's not really a luxury ride per se. It does absorb bumps and imperfections in the road better than my 3 Series chassis. But obviously I have some sport suspension on my 3 Series, so it gives me a much firmer, more sporty oriented ride. So again, right now I'm currently in normal, and I'll pull it in sport shortly to see exactly how it feels. But for the most part, it's very comfortable. The seats are bolted very nice bucket seats. Robert, how's the legroom back there?
It's good.
It's pretty good?
Yeah.
It's good enough. You think you'd be comfortable back there on like a long distance trip, or kind of just on a short stint type thing?
Well, yeah, I'll probably get a little bit uncomfortable in the long run.
Yeah, I would say this vehicle for the most part is not really an extended drive type family hauler. Again, I'm only about 5'5", Robert is about 5'10", so obviously he has good enough room behind him. But with that being said, if I was 6 feet plus or anything of that nature, Robert would probably be pretty cramped back there. So it's a normal. I'm gonna put it in sport now, see how it changes. Okay, the acceleration definitely got more peppy. Let's see here. Acceleration more peppy, go all the way down. Okay, fine. So it has some pep, but again, it's only 241 horsepower. But the amazing thing is that this vehicle weighs 3,700 pounds, so it does feel on par with the Chrysler 300, but it feels a lot more tangible and fun to drive so far. I'm getting more feedback from the steering wheel than I ever did in the Chrysler 300. And you know, that's an interesting aspect to look into and to think about, because for me, whenever I'm driving a vehicle, it's extremely important to have a steering wheel that gives enough feedback so that I can be comfortable with it on the road. It is light, it is electrical power steering, but it's not too vague. It's not as vague as the Cadillac CTS that we did. I think I said 300 earlier, but the Cadillac CTS 2.0T. That was probably one of the worst steering feedback I've ever had. This is not the best either, but it's definitely better than that. And well, I mean, I'm not sure if that's an ultra positive, because anything would be better than that steering wheel, to be honest. But with that being said, this is cool too, you know. It feels good. It has, let's see, put my foot down. Feels good, you know, but again, it's still missing a little something, you know. Yeah, I would be more comfortable driving a naturally aspirated V6 that gives me a better sound, better feedback, you know, at least audibly, than driving something that, just for the sake of efficiency, is a bit better. It has its pep. It does feel like overall a nice vehicle. There's no creaks or rattles. There's nothing of that nature that would make me question the build quality of it. Again, this is a Lexus, people, so, and this isn't cheap either, brand new. But again, this is only 2 going on 3 years old, only 37,000 miles. It's only about, you know, like a little over 16,000 miles a year. That's not too bad, considering, you know, depending on exactly when this vehicle was built and things of that nature. But with all those things in mind, this is honestly a pretty fun vehicle to drive. I am enjoying it. It does feel nice and smooth. It feels clean. This is a very, very clean model. And again, like I said, I'm kind of struggling to really try and pinpoint exactly what the negatives are, other than things that I've already mentioned. It's very light, it's nimble. It's not the biggest vehicle, and like I said, the negatives would be the fact that it's still a 4-cylinder. Is it adequate enough to haul this vehicle around? Yes. But is it engaging in any way audibly? No. The steering wheel, even in sport mode, is a little bit heftier, but it's still, the steering feel isn't too vague, but it's not, again, it's not 3 Series E92 type feedback. So for better or for worse, take that how you will, it's adequate enough for the average consumer. Will love this and won't be anything complaining. Even a regular, you know, prosumer or someone that enjoys driving will enjoy this vehicle too. And I think it has hit a very good mark in both aspects of the vehicle, because that is something pretty much very hard to pull off. To be able to transition from a luxury, still be able to turn the steering wheel relatively easily and not feel like it's an arm workout like it does in my vehicle. And on top, god damn, this person almost hit us.
So you caught that on?
I did. I'm pretty sure I did. But you know, with that being said, people are wilding out here in LA. I'm here sitting still, boy. So Sonny, if you ever watch this video, I'm doing no wrong. But with that being said, you know, again, going back to the Lexus IS, this is a cool little fun. Okay, see, as I'm turning right here, I see like the steering tenses up a little bit and gives you more feedback. It's interesting the way it does that, because driving just normally, it doesn't do that. But when you do take a turn, it gives you a little bit more feedback, and that's really cool. I never really felt the steering wheel do that before. It's kind of freely just in a straight line and doing simple lane changes, but the moment you engage in a turn, you feel it somehow convey more feedback than one would expect, and that's really cool. So, you know, going along with, again, the interior is amazing. The infotainment system is a little weird. You have to control it with a little I don't know what Rob, what would you call this? It's like a trackpad with on top of a trackpad.
Yeah,
it's like
honestly, it's really hard to get used to.
Yeah, because you press it to the left once and it feels weird, and you press it to the right. Let's say because there's 4 dials on top of it. Yeah. And when you want to go to a specific one, you might put too much force into it and it'll swing all the way to the right when you're just going one spot over. Yeah, the idea is cool, but the execution, its feedback is a little weird. Again, you have to really be used to it. If you're new to it, or if you just don't have the steadiest hands, or you're just trying to do something quick and you put too much force, it'll swing all the way to the left or right of when you're trying to get to something in the middle. And that's weird. It's not the worst thing. I'm pretty sure there's more clunkier things out there, but I feel like this is one of those design things where they did it just to be different. And again, when you do things just to be different, you over-engineer something when it just needs to be simplistic. But the air conditioning controls have a touch sensor, touch bar feel to it. That's really cool. They tried to really minimize the knobs here. That's cool as well. But in terms of the trackpad on top of a trackpad, that's honestly the best way to kind of describe it. It's really weird. There's nothing really else like it. That would be a negative to me. It's not the most intuitive thing to use, but again, it's not the worst or the most clunkiest. At least it is responsive, but you have to be really careful with the input on it. And outside of that, the driving pleasure, the driving dynamics of it is pretty good. You know, like I said, we are driving in Inglewood, West Side, Best Side. Shout out to Carlux, Sonny and Robert. This is a pleasant vehicle to drive. It absorbs the bumps reasonably well. Again, this is not a S-Class, but it's a nice medium between sporty and luxury. And I think Lexus definitely hit its mark with F-Sport. It's not too harsh and it's not too soft. And this is an ideal chassis and an ideal combination for someone that's looking for, you know, a comfortable cruiser, a daily driver, which can also turn into a little bit of sportiness when necessary or when desired. And that's really cool. So with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. Again, this vehicle is available to be purchased at Carlux. Again, shout out to Carlux. Thank you guys so much for this opportunity. This is a 2016 Lexus IS, and it's going for about $22,000, $23,000 right now. So hit up your boys and take advantage of this in my opinion, pretty good deal because, again, like, you guys see the interior, you guys see the driving dynamics in a way I've been able to try and convey to you guys. It is a pretty fun vehicle. Would I own this? Would I own a Lexus IS350? Absolutely. Would I own this specific IS200T? I don't know. It's just my personal opinion. I don't like 4-cylinders. Has this changed my mind? Yes and no. It offers more cohesively and overall than the Cadillac CTS that this technically competes with. But I don't know. I don't know if I will ever really find a 4-cylinder that I'll be comfortable, that I can personally recommend for my personal usage. Is this more than enough for your average consumer? Absolutely. Would I recommend it to your average consumer and someone that doesn't necessarily care about a 4-cylinder? Yes, this is a great vehicle. This is an amazing car. The interior is almost second to none. It's better than most things I've ever really come across, especially at this price point. It can't really be beat. But, you know, I think I've covered everything I needed to about this vehicle. Again, it's been a pleasure to drive. Thank you so much, Robert. Always put on your Superman cape for me to allow me to do this. And again, this video's not coming to a close. Thank you so much for watching. It's your boy, it's Views from the Heart, and I'll see you again in the next video. Thank you for watching, and I'm out.